Hello and welcome to ET Now. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now with me, Snehisha, and with me is the OG Buy Now Sell Now anchor. We have Cheryl with us, and once again wishing you a very happy Diwali, viewers, from everybody here at ET Now. The best of festive greetings to you. But on that note, Cheryl, let's kickstart with all the viewer queries then.
Absolutely, let's kickstart taking viewer queries. And now on the technical front, we have Osho Krishan joining us on the show, as well as we have Lancelot, who is there on the fundamentals. Once again, good morning to you, Lancelot. Festive greetings to you, and festive greetings to you as well, Osho. Thank you so much for joining us on this very special edition of Buy Now Sell Now. All right, with that, let me kickstart with taking your queries then. And the first one is coming in from Veni, who's a senior citizen, writing to us from Hyderabad. And Veni wants to know about RVNL, 800 shares at a price of 619, as well as Chola, about 100 shares at a price of 1,543 rupees per share. Our viewer is suffering loss in both of these counters. What should he do? Average, and if average, at what price, Osho?
Very good morning to both of you. Firstly, wishing you, the entire team, and all the viewers very happy Diwali. Well, now coming to the query on RVNL, then this counter have seen a significant correction from the highs of approximately 620 and has plunged towards the zone of 400, which is also the 200-day SMA. But from here onwards, one can expect a breather in this counter. One can expect a gradual up move in RVNL. The target comes around the zone of 540 to 550. This level again from a long-term horizon, this counter has the possibility to even retest its lifetime high. So overall, it is a very strong counter and one should stay invested in RVNL. The other one was Chola Finance, correct?
Chola Finance.
So Chola is approximately have seen a decent correction from 1650 towards approximately 1300 odd levels. But from here onwards, also the counter on a broader time frame has seen a decent correction and has retested the breakout zone of nearly 1250 to 40. So for long-term perspective, yes, one should stay invested. For short term, we might see some kind of further consolidation followed by sideways movement. But overall, the counter is having a very strong fundamental. So one should stay invested from medium to long-term perspective. From here onwards, 1400, 1450 should be seen as the immediate hurdle. And the time it surpasses this zone, then again it can retest the zone of 1550 to 1600 from medium to long-term perspective.
In fact, that's the view coming in on RVNL and Chola investment in finance. Thanks, Osho, for that. Lancelot, we have our next query coming in from our viewer K. Anand from Hyderabad. He's holding 15 shares of Bajaj Finance brought at a price of 6,840 rupees. He's asking what's the next step to do here? Should he continue to hold, or now would be a good time to book some profit?
So since he's holding only 15 shares, I think it's it's better to hold and maybe add whenever there's a decline, because Bajaj Finance, they came out with good quarterly numbers. We've seen the NPAs remain relatively low, and I think the platform business which they had created, whereby they would move most of the processing and the entire lending business to a digital mode, that is now gaining traction, and that should add to their profit margins going forward. So one should definitely keep this stock as a long-term bet in your portfolio. You will see earnings growth in excess of 15 to 18% per year, and they have a very strong management in terms of capability of execution. So I think one should continue to hold and maybe add on declines or even at the current price.
All right, so that's the take coming in on Bajaj Finance. Let me take this next query, which is coming in from Ramesh. He's writing to us from Kolkata, and he has a couple of queries actually with him. He wants to know about Motilal Oswal. Actually, 930 is the buy price, and PNB Housing also around 930 is the buy price. Actually, Osho, what's your take coming in on both of these counters? I'm not sure if you track Motilal Oswal, but what's your take?
I can definitely tell the answer about PNB Housing Finance because overall we do not have the coverage on the broking firm. So overall the counter looks positive. It is having a higher highs, higher lows kind of a scenario. So overall Motilal is also looking positive, but I have no outlook in this aspect. But for PNB Housing Finance, this counter have been into a very strong momentum. There has been some kind of time-wise correction after a very strong breakout around the zone of 820, and just the counter again has slipped towards the zone of 900, 920 odd levels, which again provides a very strong opportunity to reaccumulate this counter from medium-term perspective. overall, I am expecting that around the zone of 900, this counter should take consolidation, a broader consolidation, and again should start moving on the higher end from short to medium term time frame. But overall, 1050, 1060 is the short term target. The time it surpasses 1060, then only we can see some strong triggering on the buying side for this counter.
So that's the take coming in on PNB Housing from Osho. Lancelot, the next query is particularly coming from you from our viewer Usha, who's bought 200 shares of Zaggle Prepaid Ocean Services at the rate of 439 rupees per share. She's asking you, what's the outlook? Should she continue to hold, or what should her next steps be when it comes to Zaggle?
So I think the outlook for Zaggle is definitely good because they've seen a lot of client additions and new business additions during this last quarter. Plus, they've made significant bids going forward. So we should see good traction. The only concern over here is that the valuations are a little high. So if you are holding a larger quantity, you can always look at booking some profits in terms of if since the valuations are high, and maybe you could accumulate the stock over at lower prices. But otherwise, one should stay invested and maybe accumulate the stock at every decline since the long-term outlook looks good.
All right, so that's the take coming in on Zaggle. On that note, we will take a breather on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. When we come back, we'll continue to take your queries. Don't go anywhere, viewers.
Hi there, welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now. Let's keep it going with all the viewer queries. And Osho, I'm going to come to you for the next query. We have our viewer Jude from Mumbai asking if it's a good time to buy Shriram Finance at current levels. What's your view when it comes to Shriram Finance? What would you advise our viewer? Is now a good time? Is it time to wait for a dip and then buy? What's the outlook?
This counter has seen a very strong rally from the zone of approximately 2400 towards the zone of 3600, and currently is having some kind of profit booking from the higher levels. It is still very at a very early stage where I should say that it has made a bottom, because there can be a continuation on the profit booking for this counter. The immediate support comes around the zone of 3000. So one should start investing once it reaches the zone of 3000 in a staggered manner from short term to medium term perspective, followed by after 3000 one should the next leg of investment should be done approximately around the zone of 2850, 2860 odd levels. So these are two of the levels where one should try to accumulate this counter in a staggered manner from short to medium term time frame.
All right, this next query is coming in from Bala, who's writing to us from Chennai. He wants to know about heritage food. How is this counter looking to you fundamentally, actually? Lancelot, do you think it's worth a buy at this point in time?
I think, Cheryl, this counter has seen a lot of interest because of the promoters and the political background that they have. But if you look at valuations perspective, it has been expensive, over the last couple of months. You've seen the valuation, the growth is not that high, and you are seeing some pressures as far as margins are concerned on the company's growth. So one should be, a little cautious because any negative news could see a further decline in the stock, and and the fundamentals may not justify that kind of valuation. So I think it would be an avoid at this point in time. Maybe if you're already holding
A avoid call coming in from Lancelot on Heritage Foods. So there you have it. Avoid is the call.
the stock, then one can remain invested and look at a bounce to exit.
In fact, it's all coming in. Osho, the next query is from our viewer Shashwat, who's writing to us from Delhi. Now, he's holding Exide Industries as well as Ireda, and he wants to add more for the long term. Would that be a good option, or would you suggest another couple of stocks for him to do so?
See, overall, both these counters are very positive. They have seen a very strong rally in the current year, and currently is facing some kind of time-wise corrective phase in both the counters. But overall, both the counters are very positive, and I expect that in the longer term perspective, both of them can perform really well. For Exide, firstly, it is at a very strong support near the zone of 440, and I am expecting that from here onwards there can be a decent up move towards the zone of 520 on a very short term perspective. The time it surpasses the zone of 520, then again it can go towards 600 odd levels. Now coming to Ireda, again this counter have already seen a very strong movement, and after that there has been some kind of uh, cool off or correction that is going on. But overall, this counter still has a potential to move towards the zone of 260 in a short-term perspective. So for short-term, yes, one can definitely accumulate this counter. 260 should be the target. While on the lower end, I expect 195 to 200 acting as a very strong support for this counter.
All right, this next one has come from Suchitra, writing to us from Bangalore. Wants to know an entry price for Ashok Leyland and also an exit price for the short term. Can you provide her with both, Ashok?
Overall, this is a very strong and technical question for Ashok Leyland entry and exit. That is a very difficult phase as of now because the overall market is into a corrective phase. But still looking at the overall trend and historical price movement, this counter is now trading at 200-day SMA on the daily time frame, and historically, this support has provided very strong cushioning to this counter. So I expect that around the zone of 200, 205 the counter should consolidate. Technically also major of the parameters have turned towards oversold, so one should try accumulating this counter at current levels. Approximately 205 to 200 should be the zone where one should try to accumulate, while on the higher end the immediate resistance for this counter is approximately 230. So 200 to 230 is the immediate range for this counter. Buy near the support zone and try to sell near the resistance of 230.
Sure, that's the level coming in on Ashok Leyland. Hope that answers your query. But let's move on to the next query. And Lancelot, this query is a rather interesting one that we've got. The viewer is Subrata Mukherjee, writing to us from Kolkata, asking for the medium to long term between Nestle and HUL, which one would be a better pick? Now we have numbers coming in from both. Nestle has missed estimates. HUL was rather in line with what we were expecting. So on the fundamentals front, as well as the outlook that both these companies have given on the recovery in rural but the weakness seen in urban consumption, what's the view going ahead, and if FMCG at all would be a good option right now?
So, if one question about whether FMCG should be in your portfolio, I think FMCG should be in your portfolio because at this point of time, yes, things have been difficult for this last quarter, but at the end of the day, with the growing population, the income growth, you are going to see growth. Although, given the competition, the growth may not be that high as far as the companies are concerned. But yes, definitely one should look at adding some amount of FMCG to your portfolio. As to which stock to add, whether to add Nestle or HUL, both are equally good companies, but I would actually go with Nestle at this point of time because the stock has corrected more and the valuations have now fallen significantly. So it is more attractive in terms of the risk reward to buy Nestle as compared to Hindustan Lever. The valuations for Hindustan Lever are trading at a higher multiple from its 5-year long-term average. So I think one should opt for Nestle as opposed to HUL at this point in time.
Debate is between a Nestle or an HUL. So according to Lancelot, it is Nestle that you can look at. But on that note, thank you so much, Osho, as well as Lancelot, for being part of the show and also resolving viewer queries. Once again, happy Diwali to you and your entire team. And with that, we sign out on this edition of Bye Now Send Now. It's a goodbye from Snehi, myself, my team. That is Somashri, who's the producer of the show, as well as Ravinder, who's the director of the show. Thank you so much for watching and happy Diwali to all of our viewers.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.